Hey parents, it's Robbin McManne here. If you are anything like me, you love Halloween, you love getting out with your kids who are trick-or-treating, you love handing out candy, dressing up, the whole thing. And when it comes to Halloween, we want to keep safety first and foremost in our minds because we can see that things can go wrong. And so I want to share with you some really great Halloween safety tips, but also some myths that you might not know about. And to do this, I have my friend and safety expert, Jason Brick. Jason is a black belt. He is a safety expert, and he is the one that I go to when I want to talk safety and keeping our family safe. He also has the YouTube channel, The Safest Family on the Block, that I really recommend you go and check out and subscribe to because he has some of the best guests from all over the world to help you keep your family safe. And if you go to the Parent Toolbox, when you go to www.parent-toolbox.com, you can download your own safe family blueprint to help keep your family safe in your home and have a plan to get out of your home safely and to stay safe. Really important stuff. And I think knowing that your kids feel safe at home and safe with you really helps them to lean into you and allow their development to unfold. The video that you're about to see is from a Facebook Live that we did in one of my Facebook groups. And in this video, Jason really expertly outlines the myths that we've been believing for many years that actually aren't true, and some things that you might not have thought of. And these are things that impact not only your kids when they're trick-or-treating, but things that also you want to consider if you have older kids, even if they're not trick-or-treating and they're out and about and maybe just doing stuff at night. It can be dangerous out there, and we just need to be aware of what the dangers are to keep everybody safe and enjoy one of the most fun days that we have in a calendar year. So please enjoy this video with Jason and I. You have taught me some really cool things that I want to sort of add on at the end, things that I won't forget. So let's talk about the Halloween safety tips. And by the way, everybody who's watching and listening, we do have a handout for you in the Parent Toolbox. It'll be available as soon as we're done here, so in about 45 minutes or less. And along with it, there is a full activity book as well for your kiddos. So there's some fun word searches and some fun different things that you can have your kids do. So anyway, Jason, so what are your top safety tips? I'm just going to let you take it away.
Well, I want to start with the two biggest safety misconceptions that we have about Halloween. And those are tampered candy and stranger abduction.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all grew up, you and I grew up kind of in the 80s when there became this epidemic of candy tampering. And we were told that our parents had to check every Tootsie Roll for razor blades, needles, poison, drugs, machine guns, whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, communities changed how Halloween happened, where we were just discouraged from trick-or-treating in the neighborhood and taken to downtown blocks where we interacted, or into malls and things like that. There was the trunk-or-treating thing where parents would go to a parking lot where there were police to check it and all of that. I would love for you to guess how many candy tampering deaths there have been since 1970.
Well, I feel like I want to say like 100 or more, but I'm guessing I'm totally wrong.
The answer is 0.
Oh.
There have been no stranger candy tampering deaths.
Really? 0.
There were 2 incidents in the late 70s, early 80s. One example was a stepfather who wanted more time with his spouse and murdered the stepkids intentionally.
Oh,
and then, of course, there was that serial killer who killed his wife by poisoning her Tylenol.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
But poisoned several other pieces of Tylenol first. Incidentally, there was an Isaac Asimov short story written in the 60s where that was the plot. And I've always been curious if she read that short story.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yes, I remember that happening. I remember it. And I remember there was like Tylenol taken off all the shelves, and it was this one lady, right? Yeah.
That one lady. And again, although she murdered some random people to create some kind of cover for her crime, it stopped, and there hasn't really been anything since. The bottom line being that those 2 incidents created this wave of panic, and this was media prior to the internet, when we could check our facts, and Newsweek ran this article about the epidemic of child candy tampering, which never, ever happened. Which never, ever. Nobody's out there trying to poison your kid with Tootsie Rolls, and nobody's putting drugs in your kid's candy because drugs are expensive. Yeah. So we can all just relax about that and spend our energy and our efforts on things that are actually dangerous for our kids.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for starting out with that. That's really important to hear, because that is the natural thing. Like, I've thrown out candy because I'm like, oh, I don't know. Right. So that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's a relief, and it also frees up a lot of our mental and emotional energy to focus on the things that are more important. Now, with children who have food allergies, nut allergies in particular, we still need to be careful. But we can all just take a deep breath and let that fade into urban legend territory, along with gangsters who are going to shoot us for blinking our brights and the guy with the hook for a hand coming after us if we're making out with our girlfriend. It's all just urban legends.
Yeah. And you come up with a list here that isn't just obvious, right? And we purposely didn't list Halloween candy, and so I'm glad you addressed it here. So yeah, so let's dive into that list. Let's talk about the time at which your kids need to be inside, especially your teenagers. Tell us the important piece there.
So the big thing to keep in mind, and I say 10 o'clock usually, or 9 o'clock when I give advice, just generically, but you'll know better for your town and your region.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about Halloween, and keeping in mind that even though we just dispelled a huge myth, Halloween is statistically the most dangerous night of the year for children.
Yeah.
And a large part of that is because people go drink at a Halloween party and then they get in the car. So you want to have your kids home, your trick-or-treating age kids home. We usually want them home by 9 o'clock anyway. But it's a really good idea to get a solemn promise out of your teenagers that wherever they are at 9, that's where they're bunking in for the evening. I really recommend having a Halloween party so they're at your house with their friends. So you get to have that experience with them and get to know their friends a little more and have a bit more of an eye on things. But wherever your kids are at 9, that's where they are for the end of the night, because that's when the drunks start coming out of the bars and the parties and make the roast more dangerous.
Right. And oh my gosh, that I think that is such a good piece of advice. Look, in my neighborhood, we have a very dense neighborhood here. And look, even just driving down the street, there's kids everywhere. And there's like a couple of houses that do like this whole like DJ thing. They have a smoke machine, they have a haunted house, they have this realtor that comes and does popcorn, and then there's hot chocolate and all that. So there's tons of people there, and like you can't even get down that street. And I can see someone getting hit and hurt because of course it's dark, and where I live in Vancouver, it's always raining. So it's also very cold. And so you have a great suggestion for keeping your kids warm while they're trick-or-treating.
Absolutely. And that's just, we don't think about hypothermia and frostbite as dangerous in Halloween, but because we think of Halloween being in October, and we usually think of late September when we think about October, but really it's November.
It's November.
And November's cold.
Yeah.
And those costumes you get at what's the place, Spook City or whatever it is.
Yeah. Just the Halloween store.
They're not built with warmth in mind.
No.
Especially when we get a little bit older and then we want to show a little bit of skin. And I'm not there to judge that. If people are free to explore their sexuality however they like, but it's cold when you don't have clothes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for little ones, a good solution is put their PJs on underneath their costumes before you go out, because not only does it keep them a little bit warmer, but also it makes bedtime that much simpler after a night when they're already up late and they're already high on candy and excitement. And then, good footwear is non-negotiable, even if it spoils the costume.
Right. I know. That's such a bummer.
It is, but and just for the outdoor stuff, they want to pack it in a tote and take them off and put on the elf boots or the stilettos or whatever they want when you get to your destination, more power to them. But when we're out in the rain, when we're out in the cold, those toes are really susceptible to frostbite. Also keeping in mind that you don't want restrictive things on your limbs, because that cuts blood flow, which makes frostbite more likely. It's not
Wow.
going to, it's not a deadly thing in most situations, but my paramedic friends tell me every year they treat frostbite on kids who made bad, somebody made a bad costume choice for.
That's huge though, that paramedics that have treated that. I mean, that's all I need to hear, really. That's all I need to hear. So make sure your kids are wearing socks, closed-toed shoes, they've got their warm jammies on, and yeah, and be sensible about what you do. And you're right, those costumes are like they're like sheets of plastic. There's nothing to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing to them. So okay, so that's really great. And then you talked about restrictive clothing.
Mhm.
What about princess dresses or vampire capes or that stuff? Because I have boys, right? And my boys always had some sort of like ninja or Buzz Lightyear or whatever. So they're wearing pants. So it
Mhm.
wasn't an issue. But I know that there are, like I would go with my nieces and they were in the dresses, right? And it's like, you got to hike up the dress to get up the stairs and down the stairs. It's always too long. Anyway, sorry. What do you say about that stuff?
Absolutely. So they pose two risks, and one is getting caught on things,
Yeah.
and the other one is fire. And for the fire, it's just a matter of you've got this flowing sleeve on your peasant dress, you've got your Dracula cape that's flung behind you, you've got the folds on the big poofy skirt, and you might not notice that it's sitting on a space heater or that it's drifted over a jack-o'-lantern. And
Right.
it might be fully involved because the federal requirements do not say that your costumes have to be flame retardant. Federal requirements do not say that your costumes have to be flame retardant. That you need to be
That's
careful of those.
crazy. That's
It
crazy.
is. It is. But
I can't believe you just
Mhm.
said that. Federal regulations say that the costume does not have to be flame retardant.
They don't say there's not like a line that says costumes don't have to be flame retardant, but they don't have a line saying that they have to be.
Wow.
Because it's a seasonal thing and it's really underregulated.
Wow.
But and then of course, if you're making your own costumes, you can choose material that's flame resistant. And so for flowing things, I wouldn't say don't do it, capital D, capital D, capital I, but be aware that that's a risk and make smart choices about it,
Mhm.
including things like not having open flame in a kid's house at Halloween, using LED candles or colored glow sticks look way cooler with jack-o'-lanterns anyway.
That's such a great idea. So you're saying in general, don't
Mhm.
use open flame for
Yeah.
your
Mhm.
pumpkins because the trick-or-treaters that come could
Mhm.
catch they could catch on
Exactly.
fire. Yeah, that's and
Or
glow
the pumpkin
stick.
can catch on fire, you know.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
if you got kids around, open flame is a bad idea. If
Yeah.
you've got grown-ups around, it's Halloween, you're probably drinking, open flame is a bad idea. Uh,
Mhm.
either way.
And look,
Um,
I'll tell you what,
mhm,
when we go out trick-or-treating, like when my kids were little,
mhm,
I hate to say it, but like there was a lot of booze out there. Like I could
mhm,
smell it on people. Like people were drinking, they had their coffee cups and there was
yeah,
booze in them. So parents are
yeah,
drinking while their kids are there and it's a party for everybody, right? And
yeah,
people and kids and love and all that stuff.
mhm,
But yeah, you got to be careful. Now, one of the things that I love that you said, and I'm trying to sort of think
mhm,
about this for a little girl's or like a princess dress is
mhm.
Velcro, attaching the kids
Yes.
with Velcro instead of around your neck, right?
Mhm.
So smart, right? Or is it as good if the snap is Velcro, or is it better just to be sort of Velcro to your shoulders?
So Velcro to the shoulders for capes is better than around the neck, but it's not gonna kill you, right? It,
No, but
it
if you
gives you
take it
just a
down,
little more. It's just a little more pressure required to get it to release.
yeah,
What you can do with a princess dress is you can do it with a wraparound that has Velcro, so that if
yeah,
it gets caught on something, it tears off, or if it catches fire, you can grab it and rip it off real quickly. But
right,
yeah, the use of Velcro instead of sewing something on or safety pins
yeah.
means that it comes off quickly if it needs to come off, either in a fire or say you're running down the street really excited and it catches on a tree branch. So you don't get that.
Yeah, I could just imagine all that
Mhm.
this stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in
Mhm.
terms of visibility, there's like it's dark at night, and usually kids don't
Mhm.
start until nighttime. What do you say about
Mhm.
visibility and who should have it and what kind of, what should we do?
More is better, period.
Okay.
Light everybody up like a Christmas tree. The fact that you've got kids running around, wow, excited and sugar high, in evening, which is the most dangerous time in terms of driver visibility, is why Halloween's the most dangerous time of day of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And your kids can, first of all, just kind of discourage dark costumes, encourage costumes with bright colors, contrasting colors. And if they insist on dark clothes, or even if they don't, you can get some reflective tape really inexpensively, put them in strategic locations. And one of my very favorites is you can pick up glow sticks on a lanyard for 10 for $1 sometimes.
Yeah.
And just as you head out the door, just put it around the kid's neck like a necklace, put it around the arm. And now they have this swinging bright light everywhere
Yeah.
they go.
Yeah.
And as a parent, carry a good flashlight. And you can get these $10 LED flashlights that I tested mine recently. It's got a 1/4 mile range.
Wow.
And they're great. They're handy. They're less than $10. And so carry one of those around so you can spotlight your kids, spotlight anything else, wave it above your head like this so cars see you coming.
Yeah.
Anything you can do to make sure that everybody sees where you are, knows where you are, exponentially increases how safe our kids are when we're out there.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Do you, I don't know what the laws are like where you are, but what about fireworks? That's not on the list, but what about fireworks? What do you say about, and firecrackers?
So I know what my paramedic friend would say,
Yeah.
which is remember that from the beginning of June to the second week of July are the only weeks of the year when fireworks aren't labeled as explosives. The rest of the year, they're labeled as explosives because they're explosives. And I'm the first to say explosives are really fun.
Right.
If you've never blown shit up, excuse me, you need to go do that because it's really entertaining. But
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Well, for a kid's Halloween, recommend against. My paramedic friend tells a number of stories that are unfortunate about fireworks, and they're almost none of them, the lose 2 fingers on account of you were holding on to an M80 too long. Remember that sparklers burn at several thousand degrees. And he says an injury he treats very often is a kid's got a sparkler and he's running forward and falls over and sandwiches the thing on the torso. And then they've got us 3rd-degree burns on the chest.
Oh my gosh. And then if they're wearing a costume and the costume goes out, oh my goodness. So don't give your kids those sparklers either.
No. And I know it's a big buzzkill, but
come on, Jason.
I know. It's such a bummer to be a safety guy, but fireworks are explosives. And as adults, we can play with explosives if we do it very safely. And if we don't do it safely, we're responsible for our own safety. Yeah. But our kids should not be playing with explosives.
Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, we had firecrackers and they're like, can you tiny little sticks of dynamite, right? Yeah. And they're loud. And I remember one going off in my sister's hand. She didn't blow anything off, but like it was numb for a while and she was really freaked out, right? It's like
you get the little burns. Yeah. It's bad. And they can be very fun, but they are very dangerous. And so make an adult responsible decision accordingly.
Okay.
And if you do go for it, make sure you observe the same safety things you would in July with a pail of water handy, plenty of frozen peas in the freezer, fire extinguisher nearby, all of those things.
And quite honestly, if you need all those things, is it really worth it? Like having to have all that, right? But
depends what you're blowing up.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I'm with you. It's fun. Now, you just said something, and I want to, there's 3 things that I have learned from you that I think are so valuable for everybody that I want to just say again, if that's okay. And it goes a lot. It's a nice segue from talking about fire and talking about explosives is when it's time to like, hold on, I'm talking about fire extinguishers. Is it you get them refilled or you get them, they expire after a while? What is that called? Your refreshing?
Honestly, so your fire extinguisher expires, you get them refreshed, or I think it's refreshed. I think the trade term is refreshed.
Okay.
But
now for those of us that have them at home though, right? They have the ones that we would use at home. When you're getting rid of that, you have the best suggestion ever. What is that?
Oh, that is so sweet. And I'm proud of it. I love it. and you get your $25 fire extinguisher from Home Depot, and you replace it every year. Or if you don't want to spend that much money each year, kind of rotate through and replace one of your many home fire extinguishers each year. And the new one goes where you keep your fire extinguisher. The old one comes out with you, with the kids, to the backyard. You build a campfire, and your kid uses the fire extinguisher. And so do you, so that everybody knows how to use a fire extinguisher and has practice with a fire extinguisher.
It's brilliant. It's
Every year.
brilliant.
And they have a lot of fun.
And it's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that if in the moment of panic, I wouldn't know what to do with myself, my hands, or anything. And so to know already how to use it, like, do I pull the pin? Do I do, like, how do I do this? In the moment of an emergency, like, it is good to have practice, right? Really good to have practice. So I really love
a plan you don't practice is a wish. It's not a plan. A plan you don't practice is a wish. It's not a plan.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. I like that. Okay. The next one that you said, and actually I also think this applies to Halloween, is a Mylar blanket. The blanket. Okay, you love this. I still don't have one, but you love this so much, right? Like, there's
the safety Swiss Army knife. Safety Swiss Army knife, Mylar blankets. And we're talking about those space blankets that come free in every emergency kit you ever bought. And they cost like 97 cents. You can get packs for getting down to 50. And they're just, they're great for keeping you warm. They're great for keeping you cool. They are very much like having a towel in terms of getting a sling or tying one thing to another thing. They make great capes. And so, having one of those in your emergency kit is, absolutely some of the best safety money you can buy.
And they're not reflective, but they're shiny, so you can get people's attention by waving them around and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right. So I love that idea. Everybody needs a bunch of them in your car, in your trunk. Just go to the dollar store and get them, like, right away. So then the other thing that you told me, and I think this is just a general great idea, is having gravel around your house. Right.
It's a bit of a project, but it is absolutely it's a simple landscaping thing you can do, where you take the pads that you have and you just put gravel over them. You buy a couple of yards of gravel. It'll cost you $100. The landscaping place will deliver it to you, and then you can set your older kids in a wheelbarrow on the task, and you just put it out there. Because the thing is, cats can't walk quietly on gravel.
No.
Let alone human intruders. So it's a very simple, very inexpensive trespassing alarm and deterrent. Because the bad guys know that they can't walk quietly on gravel. It's a very simple, low-tech solution.
But this has been great. Thank you so much for this. And like I said, the whole tip sheet is available at the Parent Toolbox, which is www.parent-toolbox.com. And you can join. If you're not a member, please join. It's totally free. So I don't know.
There is one important Halloween thing that I think people need to hear as well.
Okay.
And that's just about stranger danger. And how first of all, stranger danger is very bad advice. I think we've talked about that before. And if not, we'll get on and we'll talk about it. It's terrible advice. Really
quickly. Yeah. So stranger danger is bad advice. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Short version. Because if your kid needs help, they have to talk to a stranger. Because if there was somebody around who wasn't a stranger, they wouldn't need help. They'd be getting help. And there's also a lot of research that shows that stranger danger as a message didn't land. One of my favorites was they asked some kindergartners to draw pictures of strangers. They had horns and fangs.
Oh no! That's not funny.
No, it's hilarious, of course, right? And they would test those kids and have a stranger walk up to them and lead them out of a play area. And when asked, why did you go with that stranger? They would say, he's not a stranger. He was nice. So the message landed poorly, and it doesn't equip kids to do the right thing when they need help. And so the better advice is, if your kid needs help, don't talk to strangers, teach them the kind of stranger to approach. And the best stranger to approach is an adult with children. If you can't find your family, find somebody else's family.
And a mom is always a good choice, right?
Yes.
Somebody in a uniform, maybe too, or family. You think a mom is better?
So families are the best because it's unmitigated, right? An adult with children is going to be statistically incredibly safe. and also is going to be the kind of person who will not be too busy to help and will likely stop at nothing short of endangering the children they already have to reunite their kid with their parents. So
Right.
they're the best choice. One of my mentors, Spencer Corson, he wrote The Safety Trap, has expanded on that with a rule he calls the 3 Fs, which is you look for a family or you look for food, by which he means you go into a restaurant and you talk to the person behind the till. Because
Mhm.
restaurants have food and water and internet connection and a phone, and it's a stationary location where you can wait for as long as you need to until your parents arrive. And then the third one is you look for flags, uniforms with flags or buildings flying a flag, which there
Okay.
are some parts of the world where some not so great elements have co-opted the
Mhm.
flag. But Spencer points out that even they'll help a kid because it'll be good press for them.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
but but that's a slight digression from the point about Halloween, which is we worry about that, and there's rumors about child and predators coming out and coming at kids, and all those particular boogeymen come out to play. The thing is that the police are aware of the risk and really on top of it in most counties. If you're on the sexual predator list, you are required to stay indoors. In some places, they require you to go to a gym or a community center and hang out there all night.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
on top of that, you were describing your Halloween neighborhood. You think it's kind of like a candy shop for a child predator because there's these kids everywhere. But there's kids everywhere. There's little witnesses running all over the place. There's parents every 3 or 4 deep on every block.
Yeah.
It's a really, really, really bad night to commit a crime.
Right. Right. And incidentally, there's cops all over the place here too.
Yeah,
You see them driving around,
everywhere.
just surveilling,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so just their
Mhm.
presence is a
Yeah,
deterrent, isn't it?
exactly. And so that worry about stranger abduction, about be careful going up to houses and all of that, you want always to instill a confident sense of skepticism in your kids. But this isn't a more dangerous night for that. In fact, it's a less dangerous night for that. And so you can kind of relax those worries and apply them to the other things that we talked about today.
And I just want to thank you so much for offering this advice to everybody here. And please, please look at Jason's YouTube channel, The Safest Family on the Block. It's really good stuff. He has talked to some really great experts, some of whom I know as well, and I've had on my podcast, like Gary Quessenberry. He's just awesome and has another book coming out soon too.
Have you read his book? Have you read the new one?
I'm about to read it and do a review on it, actually.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it
I just
good?
I just turned mine in today. It's classic Gary. It's
Uh,
with some really smart
yeah.
neuroscience based approaches to applying it to teens. Man,
Yeah.
yeah, read Gary's stuff. Spotting danger before it spots
Right.
you,
There you go.
spotting danger before it spots your kids.
And then his
And
new one coming out is
mhm,
Spotting Danger Before It Spots Your Teens. Oh,
yeah.
brilliant. And like there's lots
Mhm,
going on neurologically in a teen's brain too.
yeah.
So you have to be careful
Mhm.
with stuff like that. So that's great. Yeah. So anyway, Jason
Anyway,
Breck, thank you so much. Safest family on the block. And go to the Parent Toolbox to get these safety tips. www.toolbox.com. Thanks, Jason. Bye, everybody.
thank you, Robin. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like this video, definitely share it with anybody who you know is going to have kids out trick-or-treating. It's really helpful just to have everybody on the same page so you know what's safe and what's not safe. And also, if you want to grab your free copy of the Safe Family Blueprint, all you need to do is go to www.parent-toolbox.com and you will find it there in one of the most popular toolbox items that we have. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.